Hi, I'm Michael Killen. The greater Palo Alto area is certainly one of the most vibrant communities in the United States. It's part of Silicon Valley, and it's not just known for its great high-tech innovations and investment opportunities, it's also rich with culture. And in this community is an important museum called the Cantor Museum. And my guest is Pat Starrett. She is the head of the Cantor Museum Art Tour Committee. And I'm asking her a series of questions of how that organization she's part of helps the museum and especially its members. Hi, how are you?
I do want to say Barbara Bogomilski is the head of our committee. I'm one of the 15 members. And when you can join the museum, it is a free museum. And as a member, we send out quarterly brochures that tell you about all our upcoming exhibits. For instance, in November, they're going to go to local homes.
Okay, so first, let me just get an understanding. The Cantor Museum, I tend to think it's a highly respected,
Yes.
really outstanding museum, and it's part of Stanford.
Correct.
But how do you describe what Cantor Museum is?
Being a free museum in our community, it offers so much to the community. It's rich with exhibits, exchanging exhibits with other museums. They get periodic new collections. They're building a new building for the Anderson collection.
And Anderson is?
He started a big food company that provided food for dorms and colleges.
Okay, so.
And they have a huge collection in their home, and they can't display all of it, so they're going to build a building and have that collection.
Okay, so he's building a building for contemporary art. Can you mention the name of some of the contemporary artists whose work will be there that I might recognize?
Oh, he has Jasper Johns, he has de Kooning, he has some of the, oh goodness, let's see.
That's good. De Kooning, Jasper Johns, that's really
I mention them
people.
because that's a new exhibit that's coming up to MoMA.
And what is the other building for?
The main building houses our collection, our art collection.
But I thought, did I misunderstand, you're building a second building?
There's going to be another building, and it's going to be by the McMurtry family, and I'm not totally sure just what that's going to include.
Okay. Now, am I correct, the Cantor houses one of the more important Rodin collections?
Yes, and that was Al Elson, who again was one of the main people in the museum art committee, and he was instrumental in getting that collection. He used to teach in Paris at the Rodin Museum, so he had a lot of connections besides knowing what he was doing.
Okay. Now, I was over there not too long ago, and there was an amazing African art collection, a lot of masks and a lot of other pieces. But is there one collection that has been shown over there that you found especially interesting?
I particularly love modern art, and I feel they have a fairly good current collection of modern art, and it will be totally enhanced by the Anderson collection when it gets
Okay. Now I'd like to go back to the Cantor Art Museum Tour Group. The organization you're with, am I correct, puts together tours?
Yes.
And that's not necessarily tours of the Cantor Museum, but you go out into the community.
Correct. We have docents, very well, highly trained docents who give the tours in the museum. Our committee, there are about 15 of us, and if you think of of an exhibit that's going to be at a museum in San Francisco, 3 of you might decide to form a committee, arrange to go by bus up to see that particular museum exhibit, have lunch, and then do one of 2 things if it's a day. One is to visit, say, an artist like you and your wife, Joe, to see artists in their studios and see their work, or we might go to a private collection, and we go by bus.
All right, and these are one-day tours. Do you folks
Correct.
ever go out of the country?
Our committee goes nationally. There is there are several levels of membership, which are benefits to your membership when you're a member of the Cantor. We did the Bach Festival down in Carmel a couple of years ago, which also we did private collections, did some gallery going. We did Santa Barbara a few years ago, which was 5 days, and an away trip. We have 5 people on the committee,
Okay.
and it includes.
So you and your group decide what interests you and you think will interest the public, or is
Yes.
this just for the members?
It's for the members. That's one of the benefits.
Oh,
of
so
being-
I'm a member, but I never really looked at the services. So these art tours are a service for the members.
Correct. And we sent out a quarterly brochure, which always includes 3 exhibits, in addition to perhaps a tour that will be going out of state. Or
Okay, what's the next tour that's coming up?
it's called Local Treasures, and we'll be visiting local. We do architectural tours also that are usually included. We do a Berkeley trip that's also like that. In December, they're going to visit several hotels in San Francisco.
Okay.
And then in February,
Yeah.
we're going up to see the DeYoung exhibit and coming to your home.
Yeah, if you're going to go to DeYoung in the morning, I prefer if you call it the Killen in the afternoon.
Okay.
I'm joking. And somehow or another, you folks discovered Joe Brown Killen's work, whose studio is right next to mine. And these are 2 of her works. And then I believe the bus load of folks is going to watch her, and I think we have a photo of this, spin and make some pots and look at her works, and she's going to share some insights. And then the group is going to come to my studio, which is right next door. And I think we've all agreed that that day I'm going to debut that's Joe Brown Killen right then and there. And, okay, and then they're going to go and look at my painting that's under development right now, which is called Sustainable America. Nothing pretentious about the titles or things I try to do. All right.
Well, I think that the focus of all our tours is somehow related to education. And when I heard about you and met you, I realized that you're doing something that's very contemporary in the thought of sustainability. And I was intrigued how you're working that out. And then we met Jo Killen.
Yes.
And saw her pottery. And this is such a small sample, but it was an amazing, and that she's willing to share with us how she goes about her work.
Some people think they come to visit me, but 90% of the people who come to the studios go to see her work. Pat, you've been a wonderful guest. Thank you very much. Hi.
Thank you.
In Palo Alto, besides the Cantor Museum, there is also the Pacific Art League. It's an organization that's been around for a long time. They have about 500, 400 members, and they provide various services, educational services, gallery, and they also host the first Friday art walk every week. So, my guest, so we have in the greater Palo Alto area is the Cantor Museum, and we have the Pacific Art League, and my next guest is Karen Kienzle, and she is the head of the Palo Alto Art Center. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Thank you. I know you had to sort of take a little circuitous route to get here. Thank you for coming.
Yes,
And-
delighted to be here.
And let's see, Palo Alto Art Center is an institution in the city of Palo Alto?
Indeed, we are a city-run facility. We also have a 501c3 nonprofit that supports us in fundraising and advocacy, the Palo Alto Art Center Foundation. but we were created by the community and for the community in 1971.
And you've been out of commission to an extent for 2 years?
18 months. We've been running our programs on the road with an art truck, doing site-specific art installations throughout the community while our building was being renovated.
And the building is fully functional now?
It is. We're still working on a few punch list items, but it's been open to the public for almost a month now.
Are you happy with the building?
We're delighted with the building, and our audience has been really delighted with the building as well. It's still the same facility, the former City Hall building for the city of Palo Alto, but the building is much more functional and much more aesthetically pleasing for our community.
Okay. Now, I tend to have a great appreciation of art.
Of course.
I really only know about the kind of art I make, to be honest. But I'm just wondering, when you look out from your Pacific Art Center, you're looking out at this wonderful community. What is the first group or a group of the community that you are trying to serve?
Well, children are a large part of the Palo Alto Art Center's audience, and one of the things that's exciting about our new building is that we have a whole new children's wing that's really devoted to that audience, with a special entrance and double the number of classrooms that we had previously for kids. But we serve all members of the public.
We'll get to them for a moment.
Okay.
But the children that you serve, you
Yes.
have programs.
We
And
do.
You used to have a kaleidoscope program?
We do. So Cultural Kaleidoscope is our Artists in the Schools program. That's a program that pairs classrooms in Palo Alto and East Palo Alto. We have artist residents who work in the classrooms, and the kids come together for collaboration days throughout the year. And the goal of that program was really to bridge the gap between Palo Alto and East Palo Alto through the visual arts.
So we'll try to close the equality gap. But you said that goal is the community, but getting down to the children, what is your goal there?
Well, of course, the Art Center provides the first museum visit for so many school children throughout the year. We have a school tour program, Project Look, that serves 5,000 kids every year and is really tied into our mission, which is about seeing art and making art. So the kids go through the exhibition, get a lively tour, and they go into the Project Look studio and they make art. And we know that art does so many wonderful things for kids, developing communication skills, critical thinking skills, collaboration, all those 21st century skills that are so essential to this new landscape.
I like the way you just gave substance to how the children benefit. And I want to share, I have been fortunate to sit down with 6 or 7 children that have been part of the Kaleidoscope.
Oh, good.
And they sat here.
Awesome.
And I asked them what they liked about the program. May I share what they said?
Yes, please do.
It was good. I worked hard.
Yeah.
Universally, the children said, I worked hard.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, oh, you folks have been working to encourage them to appreciate the value of working hard.
Exactly.
And then the other one was, it made me think. It helped me really imagine things. And now I'd like to turn it back to you and say, why do you folks want to make kids not work hard, but you do that, but think and imagine things and value the ability or the facility to think hard, imagine hard?
It's critical. It's critical. We have a whole new workforce where right brain thinking is so essential. And arts provide a place where kids can take risks in a safe and supportive environment. Arts provide an opportunity for expression. I mean, art is something that's been part of my life since I was a kid and something I go back to for stress relief, for expression, for all of those important things that are so essential. I mean, arts feed the soul.
For feeding the soul, expression, and to relieve stress. That's quite interesting. So you have an art background besides administrator and executive, and
I have an art history background and a museum studies graduate degree, but I've taken art classes throughout my life, even at the Palo Alto Art Center.
And are you multimedia stuff, oil, acrylics, watercolor, canvases, glass, whatever?
At the Art Center, we show every conceivable media.
Yeah. I'll get to that, but what about you?
Me, so ceramics have been an ongoing love. It's been a long time since I've gotten my hands dirty with clay, but there's something so incredibly satisfying about working with ceramics.
Interesting. I'm going to come back. I know I've asked you who you serve, the children, but I'm interested in other areas. I'll get to that for a moment. But I'm just wondering, you know, I try to watch what's going on in the art community here, and you had arrived on the scene at the Palo Alto Art Center, and I didn't even notice it for quite a while. Where did you come from?
Before coming to the Palo Alto Art Center, I worked for several years at the Desassay Museum at Santa Clara University as their assistant director. But I also used to work at the Art Center more than 15 years ago. I took a project look tour at the Palo Alto Art Center when I was in elementary school, so I have a long-standing connection to this place.
Okay, would you say the name of that Santa Clara?
It's the Desassay Museum at Santa Clara University.
I can't do it, but that's, and what is their mission with respect to art?
So the Desassay Museum is an art and history museum located on a college campus. So what we did a lot of was actually integrating our programming with the campus community, ensuring that we were a vital part of student life and learning on campus.
Oh, gee, that's very interesting. And so now you're the director. And okay, I'm going to come back to that, but again, the communities, the needs of the communities, the groups of folks you serve. What other group do you serve?
Lifelong learners are a huge focus for us. So individuals who are interested in learning more about art, about culture, about themselves, of all ages. And certainly we have a large population of seasoned community members.
Okay. And that reminds me, I put together, or your assistant gave me a photo of a man with fire, setting the place on fire. Maybe we could have, tell us what's happening there.
So that is raku firing, which is one of the wonderful firing techniques that you can do at the Art Center. It's a low temperature method of firing. You do it outside, and it produces some amazing glaze effects, almost metallic glaze effects. It's quite dramatic.
Now, I do remember before the renovation of the Palo Alto Art Center, there was an air quality issue, both, I think, the quality of the air as well as the temperature, and you did have this large center for potters. And I guess all that shut down, and it's been renovated, and maybe you weren't there before you were there? Mm-hmm. Could you tell us what improvements have been made?
Definitely. So again, it's a much more functional space. It's a much more aesthetically pleasing space. So the Art Center had no functional air conditioning, which was really challenging for artwork and very challenging for visitors. I remember an early event, I was part of a youth art celebration. You've probably seen that exhibition at the Art Center. We do it every year. It's one of our most popular exhibitions, and we have an opening reception for the show that features artwork from kids in Palo Alto Unified School District that draws hundreds of people. We had 600 people in the Art Center. It was a spring night, it was hot, there was no air circulation, and a parent came up to me and said, "Can't you do anything about the temperature?" And I had to explain, there's nothing I can do. We have no air conditioning. So getting functional HVAC is huge. That's an important element. Updated mechanicals and electricals, a beautiful new gallery space with updated flooring and lighting and a heightened ceiling, so it's a very attractive space for displaying art. A new children's wing with a dedicated entrance, updated landscaping, a beautiful new gallery shop, double paned windows throughout the facility.
All right. I mean, you cover a lot of ground. I just want to go back. You have the gallery now, right?
Yes.
and it was very hot in there.
Yes.
And I remember going to some exhibitions. I remember the night Nathan Oliveira had a wonderful, and I thought he was going to go down on the ground. It was so hot, and certainly I felt that. But I'm wondering about, I'd like to go back to the pottery, because I know, you know, Joe Killen, you know, is potter and all of that. So the circulation is much better in the area. Have you got new, what do you call them, kilns?
We actually do have 2 brand new kilns that are being manufactured for us on the East Coast, and they'll slowly make their way to us, and they'll be installed over the break between the fall quarter and the winter quarter. So beautiful new flooring. It's actually the original cement floor that was in the City Hall building is actually in the studio space, double pane windows, a much more comfortable place to work.
Good. And in terms of the actual service that's functional right now, are you people able to, well, I saw a photo of a man. So you do have kilns working?
Yes, yes, yes. We have 2 kilns that are actually more than 30 years old that have been running well. But you know, one of them is a little challenged, so we're excited to have 2 brand new kilns, and it's an incredible facility. We're starting to get our students back, and they're excited to be there, and our faculty are so excited to be back in the new art center.
Yeah, I remember when you had to close, many of the members who I had met a few of them, they were all desperate as to someone coming from far away to you, and now they're desperate. So they're coming back?
They are. When we went on the road, we were able to offer many of our classes off-site. Our children's classes actually did really well because I think children tend to be a little bit more forgiving of some of the unusual spaces in which we were offering classes. But you can't offer ceramics on the road, and you need specialized equipment, and so we weren't able to offer any of our ceramics classes. And it was hard. We lost our audience for a good 18 months, and they're coming back into this beautiful new facility, and folks are feeling good.
So let me just try to go over something in my head. In terms of the folks you serve, you're very, very dedicated to serving the children in not just Palo Alto, but East Palo Alto. And you have a great interest in pulling the equality divide together a bit and raising the thinking skills that children, when they need as they go forward. And you have your act now together again for the great pottery community. And again, you have 2 more kilns underdeveloped in New York, I hope not New Jersey, because of the problems there and other places. And then you mentioned something about you have this adult lifelong learning, and that's basic classes, I assume.
Exactly. And also our exhibitions as well serve as a source of learning for many, many visitors.
Okay. Well, let me just do with the lifelong learning on classes, life drawings, etc. And in that respect, you complement what the Pacific Art League is doing. They also have their classes.
And we actually share some faculty members. Some faculty teach at both institutions.
Good. And then you have this beautiful gallery. And I remember the gallery. Forgive me, I haven't been in to see all the renovations. You know, I've been busy working on a couple of projects.
Good
but
for you.
You've raised the ceiling.
Yes.
Improved the air and the lighting so that you can now attract artworks that are of a more sensitive and...
Exactly. Yes. Yes. So one of the big challenges for us was attracting loans from individual collectors and institutions was often challenging. And we were able to, thanks to the incredible professionalism of the Art Center staff and the relationships they had built with institutions and individuals over many, many decades. But I encourage you to come see our current exhibition, which is called Community Creates.
Community?
And it features 10 contemporary artists who've worked with community groups to create installation projects in the new Art Center. So we have everything from Angela Budding Philo's Palo Alto Forest, in which she asked community members to photograph a tree in Palo Alto that was significant to them, and then write a 6-word story about that tree. And she took many of those images and created an installation project. We've got a project by Susan O'Malley called Community Advice, where she asked 100 community members, what advice would you give your 8-year-old self? And what advice would you give your 80-year-old self? And she took the responses, things like don't ever lie, listen to your mom, and it was a good call to buy the RV, and created a poster project in the Art Center. So those are just two of the projects in this exhibition.
And so you hear the voices in the air that this nation is becoming more focused on community. And we'll see so much more of it. You know, we're all together to address the big challenges.
Of course.
And so you have these community projects that are very community oriented. What are some of the other, we don't have much more time, one more exhibition that's coming up soon?
Well, Community Creates is up for a long run, which is exciting for us and gives the staff a little bit of a break because it was very challenging to move back into the Art Center. So Community Creates is up until April, and after that we have our annual youth art exhibition. After that, we're doing an exhibition focused on the work of Julie Heffernan, who is a painter who's based in New York, but actually was educated and got her start in the Santa Cruz area.
Oh, wonderful. Sounds very interesting. I will come to see the present one.
Good.
But I'd now just like to ask, okay, you are certainly a very enthusiastic woman. We don't have much time. Why do you really work so hard? What's behind this passion to make the Palo Alto Art Center such an important entity, resource for the community? What is it in your background, if you'd be kind?
It's about access and engagement, and I had the opportunity as a young child to go to museums because my parents were passionate about it, but not everyone has that opportunity. We're a free art center with free exhibition admission, and so we provide access to the arts for so many.
Okay, I'm delighted we've had a chance to meet.
Nice to meet you too.
And good. My guest has been Karen Kienzle. Am I pronouncing it right?
That's good
And
enough.
They're good. How would you pronounce it, Rue?
Karen Kienzle, the Americanized version.
Okay. And she's the head of the Palo Alto Art Center.
Correct.
I think we're finished.
Great.
Let's just sit for a minute.